The long-term goal is to isolate Ukraine from the Black Sea. So to continue to take land so that eventually Odessa, all the way...
Yes, it's like a road.
That's correct. Odessa to Crimea, up to Azov, to Verdansk and Mariupol. And I mean, they just announced, I think yesterday, that they're closing the Kerch Strait. Well, this is a violation of international law because they have an agreement that the Azov is a lake, a water between Ukraine and... So the Russians, first they built the bridge, and even a brand new lieutenant could see that this was a blockade, and now they've announced they're going to close the strait until October. What? This is typical Kremlin violation of international law. And so these are the three big objectives. Now, I do believe that also a long-term strategic objective is to divide NATO, to divide the EU, to put wedges in between the US and Germany, for example, or to separate Western Europe from Eastern Europe. Everywhere that they can put a wedge, they do that with disinformation, corruption, or threats. That's, I think that's the ultimate objective.
I see. Yes, big objectives.
Yeah,
I could say that. You remember, you tell here that about that disinformation work. I read that you analyze a lot about hybrid war. You have a lot of statements and work about hybrid war. How could NATO combat that hybrid war in peace times? Because here in Romania also we feel it in, almost every day, because like journalists I confront every day with worrying the fake news and this and it's like in the war you see.
So I think the way we counter the hybrid threat from Russia or anybody else, it starts with we have to live up to our own standards. We talk about being liberal democracy, free people. We have to live up to our own talking points so that our fellow citizens believe in the strength of our institutions, so that our society is strong enough to resist disinformation. That's number one. Number two, having a media that is responsible, active, aggressive, but responsible, that helps keep shining the light and challenges misinformation, but also challenges governments and businesses when we don't meet our own standard. I think that's a very important part of this. The third thing is we have got to tell our story. I mean, there's a reason millions of people risk their life every year to get to Europe, to get to the EU, or to get to America, because they know that life is so much better. There's not millions of refugees going to Russia.
Yes.
All right, they're going somewhere else because they see that life, they have the best chance for a good life. So we have a better story to tell. We should tell that story. Don't allow the fairy tales from the Kremlin to be the narrative.
Yes, but it's very hard because you see what has happened with the Sputnik vaccine.
Well, that's true, and again, that's why.
And that kind of we start with fake news, but you see that that kind of war is going to attack cyber attacks on economic facilities or strategic facilities. It's happening in the United States. It's happening in Ukraine. It's happening in Poland. It's happening in Romania. It's very, very hard. How could NATO and European member states to fight with that kind of war?
Well, this is what I mean, that we have to live up to our own standards. If all the nations of NATO and the EU stick together and we live up to what we say is important, then you create like a phalanx against disinformation or corruption. All of the countries of NATO and the EU have got to stick together and hold the Kremlin accountable. Now, I have to say, I live in Frankfurt. I love being in Germany as an American, but I'm very disappointed that the German government does not hold the Kremlin accountable for all of the false narratives, all the hacking, all the different things that they do. They don't do anything, nothing. And Paris is just as bad. They don't do anything. And I think even the Netherlands could do more. So this is where American leadership, to get our European allies to push back on the Kremlin, the false narrative and the things that they do.
You think that what you say is an objective, a goal for the new administration?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for sure, the long-term objective or rival is China.
Yes.
But we don't get to choose Russia or China. You have to deal with both.
I've written a story that Russia action like a proxy for China now. It's the economy story.
That could be. I don't know how much coordination actually happens, but maybe China takes advantage of what Russia does and vice versa. For sure, the United States needs a strong European pillar, not a European pillow. So, I mean, we need European allies to do more. And this is not about 2%. This is about holding the Kremlin accountable. But also, our economic prosperity in the United States is tied to economic prosperity of Europe. I mean, it's our number one trading partner, and it's also where most of our most reliable allies come from. So we care about security and stability and prosperity in Europe.
Yes, but you see, in the last 4 years, we are not going stronger together. We are going weak together.
I don't accept that.
We have Brexit. We have a lot of.
It's not been ideal, and the previous administration called into question American commitment to NATO. These things were a gift to the Kremlin.
Yes.
So the new administration is back to where America traditionally was, our European allies. Now, what I do hope, of course, is that the new administration will develop a strategy for the Black Sea region so that we can develop the right policies for these situations.